Yes, Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the Bhagavad Gita Study Circle. And we are in 166th session of the Bhagavad Gita Study Circle. So we have come a long way and we are in 17th chapter now. A very, very important chapter for all those who are uh, planning or have already started their sadhana. Because the process of sadhana is a practical application of all the knowledge that we have gained throughout the sessions of Bhagavad Gita and understanding of Bhagavad Gita, right? So ultimately, the purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to apply all these different principles in our life so that our life is ruled by Bhagavad Gita. At the same time, when we apply them, then automatically happiness is guaranteed. So that is the promise that Bhagavad Gita offers all of us, that we can all become happy just by following the 700 slokas of Bhagavad Gita. Right? So it is so important. So it is a wonderful investment of time when we try to understand Bhagavad Gita. So, with this, let us begin our session with pranam mantras. It will be displayed on the screen, so all of you can join your palms and chant along with me the pranam mantras. Let's dedicate this session to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON and my beloved spiritual master. नम ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः. Hare Krishna. So, we have understood in the previous session that this chapter, it began with the question of Arjuna. And what is the question? A very important question, because Arjuna, in the previous chapter, 16th chapter, he had heard from Krishna, especially in the last two verses, that following the scriptures is very important, and those who follow the scriptures, they attain the perfection, and those who do not, they do not attain perfection, and their life is like hell in this life as well as in the next. So now, when Arjuna heard this, he had a doubt for those people who are in between. Arjuna uvacha, e shastra vidim utstrijya yajante shraddhayanvitaha tesham nishtha tuka krishna satvam aho rajastamaha. Tesham nishtha tuka krishna. So, there are people who worship with faith. They have faith, but they have no backup of knowledge. So, what will happen to such people? This was the question asked by Arjuna. Now, then we understood that how there are different types of people, right? There are sattvic people, rajasic people, tamasic people, and we understood about how faith is developed. Shraddha. What is Shraddha? Right? Shraddha. To uphold the truth is what is called as Shraddha. Right? It's very important. Shraddha means one who upholds the truth. that person is supposed to have a certain type of faith. He has that knowledge. What is that? Sattatvena dhatte ya vrittihi sa shraddha. Sattatvena dhatte. One who upholds the truth is supposed to have the wonderful quality of faith. Now, how do we develop the faith? This is very important. This also we understood that how when there is an interaction of the senses and the sense object, there is an experience. And based on the modes we are driven with, based on our previous samskaras, we analyze that experience in a certain way. That's why each one of us, although we may be eating the same gulab jamun, but our experience and our analysis may differ. Experience may be there, but our analysis of that might differ. Correct? Because we all have our different processing systems or ways. So that is why, because the analysis is different, we all develop different types of uh, experience, and that experience again and again and again when we get, we develop a certain faith on that particular object. So our faith is what? Based on the experiences that we get when there is an interaction between senses and the sense object. Correct? So this is what slowly we develop faith. This is what we have understood. So now Krishna is going to further explain something very important. So Dev, you can unmute yourself and let's chant the. We had covered until the third verse. Sattvanurupa sarvasya shraddha bhavati bharata shraddha shraddhamayoyam purusho yo yash shraddha sa eva sa. So how the different modes are actually making us do different things. So let us go with the fourth verse. So you can unmute yourself, Dave, and let us chant this verse. Yajante satvika devan
यजन्ते सात्विका देवान्
yaksha rakshamsi rajasaha
यक्ष राक्षांसि राजसः
pretan bhutaganam shanye
प्रेतान् भूताकनांश्चान्ये
यजन्ते तामसा जनाः.
यजन्ते तामसः जनः.
Wonderful. Please read the translation.
Men in the mode of goodness worship the demigods, those in the mode of passion worship the demons, and those in the mode of ignorance worship ghosts and spirits. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So before we dive into this understanding of the shloka, see, we should know that how there are different categories of people. And now Arjuna's question is actually based on that particular thing do of for those people who are in between. Now there are different varieties of people, different analysis people do on the same subject matter, and the conclusions are different, their faith is different, and that's why the outcomes in the world and in their own lives is very different. Right? Now, for example, you see, we all were under British rule, and there were a lot of freedom fighters who have done a lot of things for us to be free today. Right? Now, you see, we had Mahatma Gandhi, whose ideology was totally different. Satyagraha he did, non-violence, and he formed the Indian National Congress. Right? Now, his whole concept was, ideology was that non-violence, through non-violence, we will attain our freedom. And at the same time, there was Subhash Chandra Bose, people like Bhagat Singh. They were completely different. Their ideology was different. They were like tit for tat. Now, Subhash Chandra Bose, he formed INA, Indian National Army. So there was a complete different ideology. INC, Indian National Congress versus INA, Indian National Army. Now, see, the problem is the same. Both are facing the same problem, but the approach to the solution is completely different in both the cases. Why? Because each one of them have a different faith. One is having a Brahmana approach, one more is having a Kshatriya approach. A little different, right? Not little different, a vast difference is there, but I'm just telling that how people form different faiths and then they act on that and they try to bring in some revolution in the world. So this is how people of different kinds and natures, they have different ideologies. It's very clear to all of us. We have seen many people around us, and even when it comes to spirituality, people have varieties of faiths. Lot of different varieties of things are there. You take yoga today. Yoga, so many varieties of yoga has come. Something that we had not heard before also, right? Rabbit yoga, bear yoga, Christian yoga. I don't know what type of yoga. I mean, yoga is yoga after all. But now varieties of yogas have come. Just trying to package them in different ways, and all these things are going on. But the fundamental thing is, it's all the same. The problem is the same, right? So now, when we talk about Shraddha, right, the topic is here is what we are discussing about Shraddha, faith. Now, there is Shraddha, which is sattvic in nature, there is Shraddha, which is rajasic in nature, and there is Shraddha, which is tamasic in nature. Now, because this Shraddha is there of three types, varieties of people are there, and different faiths are there. Now, why Krishna is going to take up this very important topic of worship here? Krishna is talking about worship. What is that he's talking about? You see, in this particular, he's talking about Yajante Satvika Devan. Now, Krishna is talking about Yajante, means what? Worship, the mode of worship. He's talking about this topic called worship. Now, why Krishna is talking about worship? Because Arjuna's original question was what? Yajante, Satvika, Ustrajya, Yajante. He's also asking about worship. There are people who worship with faith but don't have knowledge. So that's why now Krishna is answering here, Yajante. He's using this word Yajante. Why? Because he wants to stress upon this point called worship. Now, very, very important. So he's trying to answer the question of Arjuna, and he's telling now worship is of three types: sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. But worship, when we talk about worship, worship itself has something very important. What are the three important steps in worship that we have to understand? See, there are three levels of worship, or there are three stages in worship. Prarthana, we say, no? What is that? One is the altar of worship. Number one is the altar of worship, means whom are we worshipping? The person, a God whom we are worshipping, that's the altar of worship. Somebody on the elevated position, it might be a guru also. So somebody on a very elevated position, God is where we think, oh, that's the altar of worship. So number one is what? Altar of worship. Second is the mode of worship, the process, the way you worship that person is also very important. So that is the mode of worship. And then the third is the purpose of worship, right? Why are you trying to worship that particular personality? What is that you want to get out of it is what is very important to understand. So when we talk about worship, there are three things. What is that? Altar of worship, whom, and there is a mode of worship, how we have to worship, and then the purpose of worship, why we have to worship. So whom, how, and why. Right? Very, very important. These are the three very integral part of worship. Anybody, anytime when you want to worship, means it has to have these three things: whom you have to worship, and how you have to worship, and why you have to worship. Right? Now let us understand. If you look at the altar of people who are sattvic in nature, they worship all the sattvic devatas. Very important. They worship Lord Vishnu, they worship Indra, Chandra. There are so many gods, right? Surya, right? So many devatas are there. They are all in sattvic nature. See, all the devatas are on the higher planetary system. Why? Because they have lot of sattva guna. Because they are sattva guna, that's why they are called devaguna. Right? They are called devatas. That's why yajante sattvika devan. You see? Now, there are many devatas who are in sattvic nature. And if you look at somebody's house, if you see that there will be in their altars, they'll be having some Devi, yeah, they'll be having Vishnu, they'll be having Shiva. All these great devatas, images and photos will be there. So it's very clear. Moment you see their puja room, you'll get to know, yes, this person is a sattvic person. And now, how does he worship this sattvic devatas? He offers very nice naivedya. You know that naivedya will be very sattvic in nature. Nice fruits, flowers, all that is prepared at home in a sattvic way. All that will be vegetables and fruits and nice food stuff that he prepares with food grains. All that will be offered to this Lord. So when you see all these things in the puja room, it is an indication that this person is a sattvic person, right? And why he wants to worship this? Because he wants to get closer to that devata. He wants to get closer to the Lord if he's worshipping Vishnu, right? He wants to get closer to the devotees of that particular devata or Lord. So they say, the birds of same feather flock together. So that is how it is. So he wants to develop a community of devotees. So he's a sattvic person. He wants to create a very sattvic environment around him, right? Very, very important. So these people who are situated in the mode of goodness, Prabhupada is saying they worship the Devata, the demigod, including Brahma, Shiva, Indra, Chandra, Surya, everybody. So their nature is also very nice in the sense they worship is also very nice because they follow all that is mentioned in the scriptures. Sattvic people, they follow the scriptures. Oh, for Ganapati you have to offer this particular thing, that hibiscus flower only you have to offer. For the nagas you have to offer yellow flowers. All these different rituals which are mentioned, he follows very nicely because he's sattvic in nature. Now coming to the Rajasic people. Now, how will their altar will look like? These are the people who worship whom? Yaksha Raksham Sirajasaha. They worship all Rakshasas. Their altar will be very different than the altar of those who are sattvic in nature. Very, very different. They worship people like Kubera. They worship Kubera. Why Kubera? Because Kubera is also one of the Yakshas, Lord of wealth. He's a Lord of wealth. So people worship him. So Rajasi people, what they want? They want a lot of wealth, right? So they worship Kubera in different forms and different ways. They sometimes even offer. What do they offer? Not like Satvika Ahara as Naivedya. They offer, um, you know, very uh, sometimes blood and flesh and all these things they offer because they are worshipping Rakshasas. They're worshipping demons. So their mode of worship is also like that, very rajasic in nature. They want to deal with what? Lot of wealth, right? That's why they worship all these people who are very demonic. Prabhupada is telling in purport that how there was a person in Kolkata, he used to worship Hitler during the World War. During the World War, he used to worship Hitler. Why? Because of the war, he was dealing with large amount of black money. Through some black market and all those things, he used to supply some things, and he gained lot of money during the war, and that's why he was worshipping Hitler. And there are people like that. Many times, people worship these people like Hitler also in their altars. Correct? Why? Because they are in the mode of passion, their mode of ignorance also. They want to worship some powerful person, very powerful God. Why? Because they want to get power. And they want to get power not by worshipping the Supreme Lord. They want to get all that name and fame and everything because they are so dependent on their own ahankara, their own rajasic nature. Right? So that is how it is. They obtain the results by worshipping all these Rakshasas and there are Rakshasas, there are Yakshas who get pleased also by these people and they offer them whatever they want. Right? So this is how it is. So Rajasic people, they are, and why do they get money? Ultimately, their purpose is money and sense enjoyment. Rajasic people. Now, if you come to Tamasic people, now these Tamasic people, what do they do? What is their altar of worship? Pretan Bhoot Ganam Shanye Yajante Tamasajjanaha. So these Tamasa people, Tamasic people, they worship ghosts and spirits in many villages. If you go, there are people who worship this ghost and spirit. Oh my God, there are so many people I have seen personally also. They deal with all these very dangerous spirits, and they deal with ghost and pretan. Um, they do all this black magic, and what will be their mode of worship? They'll be sitting in some smashan ghat. They'll be in some funeral grounds, and they'll be taking skull, and they'll have all those bones, and they'll have that blood and all those things. Their mode of worship will be that ashes of burnt bones they'll apply on their good body, that vibhuti. All these tamasic worship will be there. Very, very tamasic worship. Their naivedya will also be like that only. So what is there? Why do they want to worship like this? Because I want to destroy all my enemies. The purpose of worship of these people is why? If there is some competitor, I want to destroy that person. So that is tamasic nature, right? So we see how just by seeing people's worship, their altars, the mode of worship and whom they are worshipping, we can get to know whether this person is a sattvic person, is a rajasic person, or tamasic person. You go to somebody's house, and if you just see whom they are worshipping, you'll get to know what kind of people these are. Very, very important. So you get repelled sometimes. If you go to Tamasic person home, they'll be doing all these different types of puja, part and havan and all these things, and all which is not mentioned in the scriptures they'll be doing. They take up some sort of tapasya which is not mentioned in it. They are all different type of worship they do, which is not mentioned in the scriptures. So you're getting now why Krishna is talking about these three types of people. There are sattvic people, rajasic people, tamasic people. Their worship is totally different. So their altars are different, their mode of worship is different, and their purpose also is very different. So Divik, unmute yourself. Let's chant the next verse. And the next verse is verse number 5. So verse number 5 says that Ashastra Vihitam Ghoram
अशास्त्रावितं घोरं
Tapyante Te Tapojanaha.
तप्यन्ते ये तपो जनः
दम्भाहंकार संयुक्तः
दम्भाहङ्कारसंयुक्ताः
कामरागाबलान्वितः.
कामरागबलान्वितः.
Wonderful. Please read the translation. Oh, let's stand the sixth verse also. It's together, 5 and 6. कर्षयन्तः शरीरस्थम्
कस्यन्ता शरीरस्थं
भूतग्रामं मचेतसः.
भूतग्रामं मचेतसः
मां चैवान्तः शरीरस्थम्
मां चैवान्तः शरीरस्थं
तान् विद्यासुरनिश्चयान्.
तां विद्यासुरनिश्चयान्.
Wonderful. Now you read the translation.
Those who undergo severe austerities and penances not recommended in the scriptures, performing them out of pride and egoism, who are impelled by lust and attachment, who are foolish and who torture the material elements of the body, as well as the super soul dwelling within, are to be known as demons. Hare Krishna.
Yes. So Krishna is describing here who are demons, who are these tamasic people. So the number one is they undergo severe austerities. Oh my God. See, now just doing tapasya. Many people, oh, we have to do tapasya. What type of tapasya? People do tapasya, that which is not mentioned in the scriptures. then it is tamasic in nature. It is ghoram, terrible tapasya. I have seen people sometimes they take this metallic whips, they have that whip in the hand and then they'll be beating themselves at the back and all that blood will be oozing out. So much of tapasya. Oh, we must see, oh, see, these people are doing so much. They'll be walking on the nails, they'll be walking on those, what in Canada they call kenda, that coal, red hot coal, they'll be walking on the coal, and then you see the example of Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu, perfect demon. What did he do? He went and did tapasya. Stand on that one leg, raising both his hands, where it is mentioned now, all these things is not mentioned. Simply standing on one leg, and all that flesh is eaten by the ants. So much of bodily torture. Only bones are remaining. And because of that severe tapasya, there was so much of heat that is created in the body that that heat was reaching up to the Devalokas. And the Devalokas, people there, Devata started feeling the heat. You're thinking, why it is so much heat here? We don't have air conditioners also. Still. Now, Hiranyakashipu was doing all this tapasya. Why was he doing? Ahankara, damba ahankara, pride. People do all these kind of this tapasya because they want to show off. Most of the time it is to show off to the people. Many severe. Sometimes, if you go to this Himalayas and all, we read that how people are in the ice cold region. They sit there without clothes and they are doing tapasya, standing on one leg, standing in the water. So much of tapasya they do. But why it is? Krishna is saying that is because of damba. See, when we do tapasya and we want to show off their holiness, that is called pride. They want to show that how pure I am. I want to show off that how powerful I am. People get attracted to these people, and believe me, there are people who do like this, and they have a lot of followers. Big following will be there. Some people follow such people with lot of these powers and damba. They have people follow them also. They appear to be very divine, but they have no devotion to God. Their devotion is not on God. They are completely dependent on their own power. That power that comes from their kama and raga. That's what Krishna is saying here. Oh Arjuna, these people are not like, they have power from me. They are like impelled by lust and attachment, kama and raga. But what a devotee thinks, a devotee's power is coming from Krishna. But these demonic people, their power is coming from kama and raga. So much of desires and attachment. They want to fulfill something, achieve something great. And that is pumping them with power. And they have a strong resolve to control the situations in this world. That is Asuric. Only Krishna can control the world. If we are trying to control the world, that means we will become demonic. Very clear. That's why devotees, they don't want to control the world. They depend on the Lord. My Lord, you take this responsibility of controlling the world. You just take care of me also. Right? And these demonic people, they do everything in the name of religion and spirituality. This is going on. Everywhere it is going on. Everything. You see, now these people, what is happening in Bangladesh? Right? Now you see that whole, they think that killing people of other religion is worship that they are doing to their God. That is their understanding. Demonic people, clear understanding. Why are they doing that? Because they want to establish that our God is superior. Hey, what is the superior? So God is only one. God is superior everywhere. But their understanding is wrong. Why? Because they are not following the scripture. They have no understanding of the scripture. And because they don't have any idea of what is true spirituality and religion, they go on destroying others. We understood just now, Tamasic people, what do? Why they worship all these, their mode of worship? and they worship all these demons and yakshas and all these things. Why? Because they want to finish their enemies. Even if there is no enemy, they will create an enemy and they want to destroy it. Now, what are the Hindus in the Bangladesh are trying to do to these Muslims in Bangladesh? Nothing, right? They are in their own way worshipping their Lord. They're happy. In fact, they're feeding the people there, poor people. They're helping so many people, right? They're not disturbing. But what the Asuri people will do, the Asuri people, they will create an enemy even when there is no enemy because they cannot tolerate goodness. But we should have faith in the Lord. Such people will be destroyed. Whenever there are devotees who are challenged, when devotees are put under trouble, those people will be destroyed in due course of time. That nation where devotees are not respected, that will go in vain. We should understand this. If they are trying to torture the devotees somewhere, then we should understand that that nation will not grow for the next 20 years. Given the current condition, that nation will not grow for the next 20 years. It will remain as a backward country. Because those people who are Asuri in nature, they are not interested in the development and all those things. They are Asuric people. They will not allow anyone else to grow. They themselves also will not grow. They will live like, small insects and they will die like insects. That is their nature. So this is how this Rajasic people, they are not dependent on the Lord. They're dependent on Kama and Raga. They're attached to this body. The worship is like that. Correct? So Hina Mataji, unmute yourself. Let's chant the next verse. The verse number 7. Okay. Sattvanurupa sarvasya
सत्त्वानुरूप सर्वस्य
श्रद्धा भवति भारत
श्रद्धा भवति भारत
श्रद्धामयोऽयं पुरुषो
श्रद्धामयोऽयं पुरुषो
यो यच्छ्रद्धा स एव सः.
यो यच्छ्रद्धा स एव सः.
Please read the translation.
Even the food each person prefers is of three kinds, according to the three modes of material nature. The same is true of sacrifices, austerities, and charity. Now hear of the distinctions between them. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. See now, in the first session we understood that this chapter is basically talking about four very important things. We are all doing sadhana, and sadhana means there are these four very important things that are discussed in this chapter, and that is what? Ahara, then there is tapas, there is yajna, and there is dana. So, ahara, tapas, yajna, dana. These are the four topics which are discussed in this particular chapter. And now Krishna is going to elaborate on these four topics one by one. Satvik, Rajasic, Tamasic. Satvik ahara, Rajasic ahara, Tamasic ahara. Satvik yajna, Rajasic yajna, Tamasic yajna. Then Satvik tapas, Rajasic tapas, Tamasic tapas. And then all the other things. Everything Satvik, Rajasic, and Tamasic. This is what we have to understand, and we have to hear what are the distinctions between them. Now, very, very important. Vinodji, let us see what Krishna is going to say next. Unmute yourself and let's chant the eighth verse. Now, eighth verse is very important and it is talking about the very first important thing, that is ahara. Okay, so Vinodji, you can unmute yourself. आयुः सत्त्वबलारोग्य
आयुः सत्यबलारोग्य
सुख प्रीति विवर्धनः
सुखा प्रीति विवर्धना
रस्याः स्निग्धः स्थिरा हृद्यः
रस्यगा स्नेहादा श्रित हृदया
आहारः सात्विका प्रियः.
आहारा सात्विका प्रियः.
Yes, wonderful. Please read the translation.
Foods dear to those in the mode of goodness increase the duration of life, purify one's existence, and give strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction. Such foods are juicy, fatty, wholesome, and pleasing to the heart. Hare Krishna.
So nice it is, very important. So please understand. Now, I have told this before also that how that this food is so important in our life. So, Ahara Yagna Tapas Dana is all touched upon now, but the very first important topic that Krishna is choosing is food. Now, you should all know that this situation that Arjuna is in the middle of the battlefield. You know, the war is just about to begin, and they are standing between two big armies. And now, between the two armies, when the war is about to begin, that is when Krishna is talking about food. Can you imagine? War is about to begin, and Krishna is talking about how to eat, what to eat, and all that. Just see. So it is so important. If Krishna has to speak about food just before the battle, then how important it is. It is a very important thing. And we take this food for granted and so casually, and we just eat whatever we want, right? Food directly impacts our mind. Directly, it impacts our mind. That we will understand now how it impacts. But you should know that every different type of machine requires different type of fuel, right? When there is a diesel engine, you have to give diesel to it. You cannot put petrol into it. In a petrol engine vehicle, you cannot put diesel into it, right? Now, with a diesel engine, you cannot fly an airplane. If you want to actually fly, then you need to have highly refined fuel. Then only you can go and fly. And if you want to go into a rocket, then what happens? Even more highly distilled fuel is required. Then that's what is used. Very refined fuel is required for rockets, correct? Because you want to fly high. Similarly, in this human form of body also, we cannot simply put any type of fuel. If you want to fly high to the spiritual world, then you need to have the right food intake. If you don't give proper fuel to the body, then it will corrupt our system. That's the problem. Although you have got rocket, but you are putting diesel into it or kerosene into it, and you are ultimately with this fuel you want to fly high, which is not possible. So human body is a sophisticated machine like the rocket, and we are putting all junk food inside, and we want to fly high, become happy. Not possible. That's why Krishna is talking about this very important thing here. So, what is this food now? Sattvic food. Let us understand the qualities of a sattvic food. Sattvic food means that which increases. What does it increases? Ayu, sattva, balarogya, sukha, priti, vivardhana. It vivardhana. What does it do? Vivardhana. Vivardhana means to increase. What does it increase? It increases ayuhu. Means it increases the lifespan. Sattvic ahara, when you eat sattvic ahara, it increases our lifespan. That means today you just see people, although they are supposed to live for 100 years because of this Coca Cola and Pepsi and I don't know, all these burgers and this and that and pizza, pasta, narakka rasta, what is happening? They are reducing their lifespan. Ayu is getting reduced because of junk food. But sattvic food, it increases the lifespan. Means what? Whatever, as per your prarabdha, you are supposed to live for 90 years, you will live that 90 years. If you eat sattvic food properly. And it might increase also, vivardhanaha. The chance is there, possibility is there. So one is number one, what does Satvik do? Satvik Ahara will do? It increases Ayuhu. Second is, it is what? It gives Sattva. Sattva means what? It gives us mental strength. It increases our mental strength. Very important. Many times people get emotionally so bogged down with lot of unwanted situations. They don't have that mental strength and they go and commit suicide, right? They cannot control emotions and they get into depression. But you just see, if you are eating sattvic ahara, people can actually come out of depression, or at least you can avoid depression just by eating sattvic ahara, because it gives us that sattva, that mental strength. Very, very important. So ayu, sattva. Then what? It gives bala. Bala means physical strength also. Many people think that, oh, what, Prabhuji, if you don't only eat this ghas poos, if you don't eat non-vegetarian food, you will be very weak. No. There are amazing examples of athletes who are vegetarians. It's not that only vegetarians are winning gold medals. Non-vegetarians are winning gold medals. You go, many athletes are vegetarians or who are winning gold medals also. There are examples like that. If you Google, you will find out. Great people, very strong. They are actually vegetarians. You see rhinoceros, you see elephant, they are vegetarians. They are very, very powerful. Powerful animals, right? So, bala. So, when you eat sattvic food, it increases the bodily strength, right? Very, very powerful. Then it gives arogya, it increases our arogya. Arogya means what? It actually makes us free from disease. It does not invite any disease. Sattvic food actually increases a lot of health just by eating good food. I mean, people talk about raw food and all these things, right? You go to any of these naturopathy people, most of them, they talk about only eating only. You take care of your eating, eat only sattvic food, and most of the disease is gone. We invite most of the diseases because of improper eating. People invite disease because of eating only. Most of the diseases are related to eating. And when we eat improperly, diseases are come. So arogya, sattvic food increases good health. Very, very important. Then it increases sukha. Sukha means you will feel peace after eating. When you eat that food, you feel very nice. You feel very satisfied. There is some sort of ease in the body. You will not be disturbed. Your body is also very nice after eating. You feel very, very comfortable. That is sukha. After eating food, you should feel satisfied. That is sukha. Then preeti. Preeti means it is very, very tasty also. It is not like, oh, bland. Sattvic ahara is so tasty. So many varieties of things that you get even in just in our ISKCON temple. So nice, tasty things are there. All Mahaprasadam you get. So wonderful it is. Very, very tasty things. Right? It is Sattvic ahara. Very tasty. Rasyaha. Rasyaha means what? Full of nutrition. Rasyaha also means it is not very dry. It is full of nutrition. It gives you so many varieties of nutrition. See, meat means what? Basically same thing. Protein, fat. But when you eat rasya, food like this, sattvic in nature, it has different varieties of nutritious value. Nutrition value is so much. There is vitamin, minerals, this and that, and lot of fatty food. Krishna Prabhupada is also saying, food that which is fatty in nature. Fatty doesn't mean only this thing. If you take all the milk products and all, it has fatty in nature. It gives you that rasya, full of nutrition. Then it is snigdaha. What is snigdaha? It has enough oil content, ghee. When you go, earlier people, they never used to fry in any of this sunflower oil or refined oil. Refined oil is very bad. Very, very refined. All the nutrition is taken away in the refined oil. Today, luckily, some people have become aware and they are using the cold pressed oils, and although it is expensive, but then people at least who are really health conscious, they don't mind investing, and they take this cold pressed oils and ghee. Many devotees, we have actually seen this and tested this. We have done an experiment in Jaipur, one of our temple. We have that Hingonia Goshala. Maybe sometime when you go to Jaipur, I'll take you also. There are 10,000 plus cows there, 20,000 I think now. So they used to get the milk and they used to prepare a lot of ghee. And the devotees there, they stopped using oil. They were using everything, all the frying and everything would happen only in the ghee. Just by using cow's ghee, half of the medical bills came down. Can you imagine? When we eat proper ghee, medical bills will automatically vanish because it is snigdaha. So cow's ghee is very powerful. It is medicine, not simply oil. So snigdha means there is enough. Not oily means doesn't mean it is too oily. It is just it is not dry. So that is sattvic ahara. Then it is stiraha. Stira means it completely satiates our hunger. It's not like that murmuru. You eat that murmuru, you eat some junk food, you eat little bit, all this kurkure, murmure, I don't know what all nonsense you eat, and again you will feel like eating. Your stomach is not full. You are not satiated. You keep on eating, keep on eating, keep on eating. Spend, and that's exactly what they want also. You keep spending money, eat this, and feel hungry again. That is what they want. They are all very tricky people. So there is no stiraha there. You don't feel satiated. But satvikara, when you eat it, you feel satiated. Yes. Your stomach is full. You feel very nice. That's a stiraha. Then ridyaha. Satvikara is also ridyaha. Ridya means just by looking at that food, seeing that food, you want to eat it. It is so nice. It is just looks so delicious. When you go to this sweets also, they come in the category of sattvic ahara only. So when you look at them, nice desserts and nice all those things kept there, your mouth will water automatically because just by looking at that, you feel like eating them. It is so nice. So this is sattvic ahara. Ayuhu, sattvaha, balaha, arogyaha, sukhaha, preeti, rasyaha, snigdaha, stiraha, ridyaha. This ahara is called sattvika priyaha. So one person who is sattvic in nature, he will eat this kind of food. Now, what kind of a person you are can be determined by what type of food you like, right? We fall in the next category. Most of us will fall in the next category, that is Rajasic Ahara, but that we will discuss in the next session, not in this session. So, the Rajasic and Tamasic Ahara that we will discuss in the next session. But basically, Sattvic Ahara is, although it is all mentioned as Satvikahara, these things are there, but we devotees are not simply eating Satvikahara also. We are eating what? Shuddha Sattvahara. That means what? We are eating prasadam. We are not vegetarians, right? We are prasadarians. We want to eat only prasada. That food which is offered to the Lord. That means what? From today onwards, anyone who is listening for the first time, whenever you prepare anything for the Lord, whenever you prepare any food, you please offer it to the Lord as Naivedya and then eat it. Now, how to offer? You should not have any onion and garlic in that because onion and garlic is Rajasika Ahara. So, Satvika Ahara means free from onion and garlic. Many times we go outside, we feel, Prabhuji, my meeting, this meeting, that meeting, I have to eat because I'm meeting all my colleagues there and these people and family members are there. So under pressure, we may eat sometimes the onion and garlic, all that possibilities are there. But when you actually stand very strong in your spiritual life, when your foundation is very strong, you will not compromise. You will say, I will eat only that which is free from onion and garlic also. Very, very powerful. And these days, people they respect you also for that because you have a certain food choice, and there are a lot of options these days. Wherever you go, most of the restaurants, at least good restaurants, vegetarian restaurants, they offer. Sometimes when you ask them on Jain food means basically without onion garlic, they offer you. It happens many times in some places we go. We are in a very difficult situation. Sometimes there is no local temple there to give you food, prasadam. So you have to manage somewhere, and then you have to find a place where they can offer you at least something that is without onion and garlic, right? So when there is a will, then there is a way. You will find out a way also. So basically, the point is, we devotees are not going to eat only vegetarian food. We will eat that which is offered to the Lord. We have to first offer everything that is cooked and then eat it. That is the first principle. That means our gratitude. We are showing our gratitude. That is very important. So, so Prabhupada is also saying here that milk products, sugar, rice, wheat, fruits, vegetables, all these are sattvic ahara, very, very important. And of course, there are some other foods which are a combination, like Prabhupada is saying baked corn, molasses. They are not very palatable in themselves, can be made pleasant when mixed with milk and other foods. So there are some other foods like baked corn and molasses and all those things. But milk is, Prabhupada always was very fond of milk products. Prabhupada used to say, if you have cow, you will get milk. And by milk, you can create hundreds and hundreds of varieties of foodstuffs. So many varieties you can make just by milk alone. Just by cow, if you have milk products, so many things you can create. Varieties of foodstuffs you can create just by milk, curd, and ghee. Amazing things can happen, right? So then there are these all butter, cheese. They're all fatty in nature. Good. Prabhupada is saying a cultured man will not slaughter a animal. Instead, why should we? Only uncultured people they kill a cow and eat the flesh. But cultured people they will take the same cow and the transformed fat, which is in the form of milk. They take that and they will utilize that. They don't kill, right? So, slaughtering animals is a subhuman act. So, we should not do that. And protein is available in plenty. Oh my God. Vegetarians, many people think that this misconception is there. Vegetarians will not get proper protein. No. All the pulses, all the dal, that different types of dal, wheat, everything, they have protein. So we should not think that vegetarian food means no proper nutrition is there. Enough nutrition is there. Varieties of nutrition is there, in fact. So nicely take milk, ghee, butter, all these things, nice food grains, vegetables, fruits. This will help us, and that will purify our mind because these foods are in the mode of goodness. These are sattvic ahara. So when we eat our food, the body absorbs the nutrition, but there is a pranavayu. That pranavayu picks up this guna, and that pranavayu picks up the sattvic guna and supplies it to the mind. So when the mind also needs the food, right? Body is getting the food, but what about the mind? So mind, when it gets the sattvic guna from the food, then your thoughts will become sattvic. Because your thoughts are sattvic, your actions will become sattvic automatically. So food has a direct relation to the mind. Jaisa an vaisa man. So if you want to keep your mind very pure, if you want to keep your mind very sattvic, eat only sattvic food and eat only prasadam. Very, very important. Any questions?
Prabhuji, now regarding some during some I met some naturopaths, so they are suggesting you should have onions. Suppose you have fever or cold cough, you should have garlic. So as a medicine, is that allowed, or what is your opinion?
See, generally, devotees, yes, they have medicinal properties, no doubt about it. When people talk about garlic and onion, especially garlic, many times people take it because of the medicinal properties. Now, there are two things to it. If there are no alternatives at all for your treatment or for a specific thing that you're going through, then we can take it. It's a different thing. But we have a lot of options. Now, even in the Ayurveda, if you go, there are multiple varieties of things available to treat a certain disease or certain symptom in our body. So we can always go for those alternatives. Now, why? Because, see, devotees are not just interested in the physical health, we are interested in our mental health, right? That is what it is here. Sattvic means sattva. It increases sattva. Increases sattva means what? It gives us mental strength. Now, what is the point if we become physically strong but mentally weak? Physically very strong, but mentally we are becoming weak, then it's not good for a devotee. Because devotee means he should become very mentally strong. Why? Because we have to control the mind, right? To think and meditate on Krishna, we need to have a stable mind. But when we eat rajasic food, onion and garlic, then it is disturbing our mind because it is rajasic in nature. It might give you nutrition or treat certain medicinal properties might be there, but It is disturbing my mind. That is not good. So, because the mind is above the body, a devotee always gives preference to the mind and not the body. He will think, okay, I'll still take care of my body because there are alternatives. I will go for that, but then I will actually. And when the mind is taken care, in fact, the mind is so powerful, it treats our body also. Now, you know that very clearly, there are psychosomatic diseases. Psychosomatic diseases are the diseases which are caused by the mind. Can you imagine? When the mind is disturbed in depression and all that, body develops a certain types of ulcers and diabetes and all these things. They are called psychosomatic diseases. Diseases caused by the mind. And today in Kali Yuga, there are a lot of these cases, especially in the modern times, right? That means your mind has a power to create disease in your body. Now, if you have faith in the body and if you have faith in the mind and you actually make your mind very, very strong, the same mind which can create disease can also take you out of disease. Such a thing is there. Many people, when we hear they are so meant that willpower was so strong, they say that they came out of cancers also many times. They came out of the diseases because their willpower is so powerful, very strong there. So when your mind is very strong, you will come out of the disease also. Your body cooperates. When you have the mind, the body cooperates with the mind. So, strong mind, controlled mind will control your body also. So, that is how we should look into this. So, we give preference to the mind, not just to the body. Body can be treated with many multiple varieties of things. You can always ask the doctor, can you please give me suggest something because I have a certain food preferences. Can you suggest me something else? They will definitely give you something that will help you in your this thing, in your improving the health and coming out of the problem, whatever it is. Hope that answers your question.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Okay. So good, very nice. So we have just a few more days to go for the yatra. I know there are some sessions last week we could not conduct, but now I think we are pretty much getting closer. We will have one or two more sessions because there are some things that we need to discuss with all of you. I'll be personally calling again, once again, to all the devotees who are joining. In fact, the weekend family also wanted to join because it was a little late for them, so they are not able to join. Two, three of them actually they got to know about it only a little late. They really wanted to join. They tried also, but due to some other engagements, they could not join. So anyway, next year we are going to have multiple trips, and there are some plans that I have that I will disclose when we are there in Mayapur. So there'll be something very interesting. So next year onwards, there'll be many more trips that we are planning. Okay, so we'll discuss that when we meet. So very nice. Thank you so much for joining. We will meet again next Sunday and continue from where we have left. We have discussed Satvika Hara today, and next session we'll cover what is Rajasika and Tamasika Hara. Okay, please take care. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
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 Krishna
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Devi. Hare Krishna Dev. Hare Krishna.